SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Wednesday morning and the last time we shall chat for this calendar year on New Year's Eve. Welcome to Mornings. Dave Hughes with you on this Wednesday morning, and it's a tad chilly, I think is probably a little bit of an understatement, but that's also just the truth. Will East back in the booth with us this morning. How you doing, sir?
I'm getting into the mode of getting up so early. By tomorrow, I should have it down pat. Oh, wait, I'm not working tomorrow, so that means I'll wake up at 4 a.m.
For no reason.
On my day off, yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's the way it always works. Once you get in that groove, that's just your wake-up time, which also affects your go-to-bed time. If you haven't gone to bed at 6:30 lately, you're missing out. I'll tell you right now. On the bright side, when you walk out the door right now, boy, it wakes you up in a hurry, doesn't it, the temperature?
It does. It was 28 at my house when I got up this morning, and not fun. Very cold. I had the water dripping on the sink because I don't want to make my plumber rich again. So, it warms up to 64 today at my house.
Hey, not bad. Not bad. By the end of the weekend, I think we're going to be back up in the 70s.
Of course, why not?
Yeah, sure. Then next week it'll be -6. Because that's the way we roll.
Actually, let me look at next week. What does next week look at the East, at Casa Day East? I don't think you're far off. I mean, it's highs next week, 60s, 70s, lows of 41, 42, 59. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the old expression is true. If you don't like the weather in Mississippi, just give it a day.
Give it a day.
Yeah, you'll have a completely different forecast come tomorrow. That's the way it always works. Before we're done here today, I'm just going to warn you right now, we're going to be doing a lot of talking about daycare fraud. I don't know if you've seen all the things coming out.
Oh, man.
It's continuing to explode. If you recall, when you and I were here on Monday, I just threw in an offhanded comment and said, it made me think of Shad White. Well, he's now in the middle of this, sort of, in a way. Did you see a social media post yesterday?
I did not.
Oh, it's beautiful. We'll talk about it later in the show. But he came up with a fantastic thing. How much football is in your immediate future on the old Squawk Box?
Let's see. We got the Ole Miss game tomorrow night. Well, that's going to be kind of an awkward situation for me because I'm going to stay up and watch it. And I don't think it kicks off till 7, which means it'll end around, 10 or 11. So I may be dead tired when I see you on Friday, Dave Hughes.
I'm going to say, good morning, Will. How you doing? And you're going to say,
I was really hoping that was going to be the early game, but it's not. So I got that. And then my fantasy league, I play in like 3 or 4 professional football fantasy leagues. And I finished third in a league where we paid to enter. It's $100. Okay. Everybody pays $100. And I can't remember how many people, but I finished third, right?
Okay. It's not bad.
It's not bad. I got $200 back, so I made a little bit on it. And that's really, really awesome.
I hear a but coming here. Is there a but?
It doesn't make up for the many years that I have funded my stupid buddies. They've gotten rich off of William over the years because this is the best I finished, I think maybe ever No, one year I finished first, but I ended up having to tie. It was when the player for the Buffalo Bills got hurt and they canceled the game.
Yeah,
and that game was essentially for our championship. And so what they did was they just said, "We're gonna split the money with you." So even when I won, Dave, I lost.
So what you're saying is you've had a good season or two, but overall, just a losing record.
It's terrible. Do not play fantasy football, people. If you've never played it before, it will cause you to lose the hair on your head.
A lifetime of losing with one or two good seasons. Speaking of the Saints, they're playing the Falcons this weekend.
Saints are doing better, though.
Yes. Well, now that it no longer matters, they're doing great.
Well, they're finishing strong. There's two ways to look at this, is that it's building for next year. Another way to look at it is it's hurting their draft order. But no, they're playing so much better. And if I told you before the season, if I said, hey, the New Orleans Saints will have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs,
yeah,
you probably would have said, Will, what you're smoking? What are you smoking, and can I have some of it? No, they will finish probably with the same record, or at least similar record, as the Kansas City Chiefs, my friend.
Who are also not going to the playoffs. So, yeah, they drug the Chiefs down to their level and beat them with experience. That's what happened. My favorite fact about this weekend Saints game with the Saints and the Falcons, they are playing a game this weekend, final weekend of the regular season, with major playoff implications. They're going to have a direct impact on the playoff scenario, and neither one of them are eligible to go. That's a Saints story if ever there was one. Yeah, we're the decision makers. Oh, where are you playing next week? Well, about that.
See, we don't have a Thursday game this week, so no game tomorrow night. I guess they are skipping all of it because of the holiday and also because of the college football playoffs. So but there's two Saturday games. You have, speaking of NFC South, you have Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's tanking a little bit. They're falling off. Carolina's so-so, although much better this year, obviously. Then you've got Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco is amazing this year. Seattle's been pretty good, too. Yeah, you mentioned New Orleans. It's at Atlanta. It's the early game on Sunday, so at noon. So while you're at church probably still, you'll be checking your phone to see the score. That's what I do at least.
Nobody's going to be checking for the Saints score this weekend.
I don't know. I mean, it's against Atlanta, and Saints fans, I've learned one thing. They hate Atlanta. They hate the Falcons. And I don't know why that is, but they hate them.
Have you met them? I mean, it makes sense to me.
I don't know about you, Dave. I'm not a huge fan of any individual team. I'm more of a fan of players because I play fantasy football. So my allegiance changes from year to year. So like I had Bijan Robinson from the Falcons. So I've been a huge Bijan Robinson fan all year long. But at the same time, I've been following the Giants because of Jackson Dart and because of Scattaboo. I thought that was kind of a fun story. And I'm one of these people that I really like the animosity between two teams. Like, I don't want the two teams to play a good game and then shake hands. I want it ugly, okay? I want it ugly. And I think we're going to get that with the Giants because they're playing the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing to play for either team, really. So I think we're going to get some ugliness in the Giants-Cowboys game. And the Cowboys fans on social media are already talking all this smack and everything like they're doing something this year. You would think that they're, leading the NFC East or whatever it is. No, they're terrible again.
They're barely as good as the NFC Cowboys. I mean, much less anybody else. It's just not their year. But you're right. Rivalries are a big part of it. Bringing it closer to home and not at the same level of animosity as the Giants and the Cowboys, but the Egg Bowl every year. How much fun would we miss out on every year if we didn't have the Egg Bowl?
I like it when it's dirty. I like it when people are angry at each other. I think it's just more entertaining. When they came up with that whole thing, let's turn down the I was like, no, turn up the volume, okay? I want more of this stuff. I like the billboard wars. I enjoy the animosity. And see, now you're getting it with Ole Miss and LSU. That for the next, I don't know, however long until Lane Kiffin, decides he wants to go somewhere else. So
about a year and a half is my guess,
actually. Looking at my watch, year and a half. That's going to be fun because I don't know if you read the Ross Dellinger article that was released yesterday, but he's planning on being at the game at the Superdome.
Yes.
Tomorrow night with the governor of Louisiana. Now, I can understand the governor of Louisiana being there at the Superdome. Big event happening. He's the governor of the state. But Lane's showing up.
I'm hoping he's going to have a lot of security. Like a lot of security. Big, beefy guys with shock batons. He may need them. Actually, the most effective thing to do with him is what everyone's doing so far, which is endlessly mock and make fun of him.
The thing to do with him? Ignore.
And also, don't hire. Just my thought. You're asking for trouble down the road. Well, we're slowly getting warmed up. About another 2.5 hours, and we'll have this locked in on mornings.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center, I'm Patty Steele. Venable Glass has 2 locations in Richland on 51 North and Brandon at 209 Woodgate Drive, Cross Gates. Call 601-605-4443 for all of your glass needs. Traffic moving smoothly so far this morning. We are all clear with no accidents or major congestion. Traffic brought to you by River Trust Federal Credit Union. Take advantage of their limited time share certificate special, a 4.27% annual percentage yield on 30 and 60 months. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Patriotism is alive at 8 Complete Flag Source. Flag holidays are celebrated all year as we honor those who serve both at home and abroad. Fly your U.S. flag every day with a U.S.-made flag from 8 Complete Flag Source. We also have a huge stock of state, historic, and military flags and flagpoles for your home, school, or business. So shop local at a 25-year-old family-owned business, A Complete Flag Source, 5295 I-55 North in Jackson, 601-362-9333, or CompleteFlags.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Quick, the owner of Mid-South Crawl Space Solutions, formerly known as Clean Space of Central Mississippi. Our name may have changed, but our expertise remains. An unhealthy crawl space can invite mold, bugs, and buckling floors. This affects not only your crawl space, but compromises the health of your entire home. Our Clean Space system will transform your crawl space into a dry, healthy, clean environment that will save you energy and money. No more moisture, no more mold, no more smells. Still doing free estimates at mscrawlspace.com.
It's Congressman Michael Guest. Mississippi has given my family and me so much over the years. I'm committed to giving right back. One of the ways I can serve you is through my Constituent Services Program. Our team has closed more than 3,500 cases, helping families navigate Social Security and the VA and to renew their passports. If you need help, please call my office. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
We've sent that Rip Van Winkle guy to the dentist.
Hey, what? Hey, what?
And what's worse than a trip to the dentist? Your wife's paint project that you've put off. Let Seabrook Paint in Jackson and Ridgeland find that Benjamin Moore paint and a contractor that will get you back doing the important things in life, like grilling and watching sports. Seabrook, Benjamin Moore Paint, and a happy wife, happy life. Seabrook Paint in Jackson on Monument and in Ridgeland on West Jackson.
First down.
Hi, I'm Shelby from the staff and management at Two Men and a Truck. We wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and may the new year be the best for you and your family. At Two Men and a Truck, we know moving is tough, but we make it easy. We're the movers who care, and we'll prove it with our 98% referral rate and professional movers. For your next move, visit our website at twomenandatruck.com. From all of us at Two Men and a Truck, Merry Christmas.
Where Mississippi comes to talk. Middays with Gerard Gibbert. Weekdays here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Where you come first for news. Fast and free. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Whatever happened to a Saturday night when the rest of shop and you felt alright? It don't seem the same since Cosmic Light.
to the Will East Triage Center, where we determine how much damage was done when he obviously bumped his head. Mornings presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Where did you drag that one up?
You don't like meatloaf?
Yeah, but really? I haven't heard that cut of meatloaf in a long, long time.
It's one of the best. Whatever happened to a Saturday night?
Swear, I can't turn my back on you for a second. Can't trust you as far as I can throw you when it comes to the bumper music. Everything else, yeah, that one area, we're just kind of off the rails most of the time. Flu season is enormous, but not in Mississippi. Have you seen that?
What?
They've put the stats out. The worst state in America in terms of the flu is Louisiana. They've got more reported cases there than anywhere else. Mississippi, one of the fewest numbers of reported cases out of all the states in America. So we're not intermingling across the state line, obviously. But that's good. Keep it up, because as soon as you get sick, you'll be stuck behind me in line at the store, coughing on the back of my head. So please stay well. I appreciate it. That's enlightened self-interest. And also, secondarily, I care about you. But now we've got a new one. Here comes the new one. Have you seen the fear-inducing reports about the new fungus? There's a new fungus among us. Candida auris is the name of this thing. It's an infection, a fungal infection, and they're touting it that it killed 7,000 people this year. We must start taking precautions. We must look at this. We must do all of these things. 7,000 people. 5,000 people drowned in America this year, and we're not banning pools. So I don't want to hear any talk about what we got to do to avoid the fungus.
Where is this occurring?
All over the country. It's everywhere.
What is it called?
Candida auris is the name of the fungus. This is the kind of nonsense we have to deal with. They say it's drug resistant. And they say hospitals, nursing homes, and other medical facilities are struggling to gain ground on it. Well, we're only doing slightly better against swimming pools. So I just want to keep some perspective here, which we seem to have lost the ability to do. Did you find it?
I found it. I have not heard of this.
Yeah. It was first reported in 2016, but now they're trying to pump it up that 7,000 deaths this year is a cause for great panic and alarm in all areas.
It can survive on surfaces for long periods of time before spreading.
We've heard that before, haven't we? I remember that advice.
They're calling it superbug.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when I heard fungal infection, I started thinking about the video game and TV show The Last of Us. Big muscular mushroom guy gonna knock my door down. Okay, now you've got my attention. Until then, I don't know. But I wanted to just put it on everybody's radar because you're going to hear more about it as we head into the midterms. You're going to. Because that's the way we work, isn't it? That's the way it always works for whatever reason. How do I put this? I'm trying to come up with a good way to put it that doesn't wind up with us in a meeting later, Will. I don't even know if there is one. Just do something that seems to be increasingly difficult for a large number of people and engage your brain. Like I said, that's why I gave the stats on drownings. 7,000 people died from the fungus among us, right at 5,000 people drowned this year. But one of those is going to be presented as a horrible crisis we must all focus on, and the other one is going to be an excuse to stop by the dollar store and buy floaties. Now, that seems like, for a relatively similar number of deaths, that seems like completely opposite responses, but one of them is more logical. I mean, don't go lick a mushroom. Don't, as I said back 5 years ago, you got to stop licking doorknobs. Never should have started that habit. But aside from that, we'll just wait and see what happens and then go from there. You got any plans for New Year's? Well,
no, because I've going to watch the game. That's pretty much it. New Year's Day.
You got to get up early Friday, so you're doing nothing.
Yeah, I got up early this morning, so it's the last day of the year. So I doubt I'll be up at midnight, bringing in the new year. That seems like a young person's thing.
Yeah, it really is. The more you age, the older you get, your perspective on these things changes. Now, I'm not saying, I'm the world's worst. Because when I do mornings, like last night, perfect example, I got a text, by the way, from, of all people, Lance, last night, at about, 11:30? And I was thinking, okay, so I know for a fact you're not in the booth tomorrow, but I was up. I was still up. I'm not one that's going to go to bed early. I don't care what the inducement is. And then I go home and I take a little nap. That's new. Didn't used to do that. Used to just go all day. That 4 hours of sleep was fine. Yeah, no, the first 4 hours will get me through the first part of the day. That second 4 hours is what tops me off for the rest of the day into the night. But you do start to notice changes in behavior in yourself as you get older. You're going to notice, for example, just how much you miss sleep once the baby gets here. That is going to be, I know you've heard this. It's all stock standard advice because it's all true. Every last bit of it.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for that?
No.
You sound happy.
I'm not a great sleeper anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm a night owl, so I'll make it.
Oh, yeah. You'll be fine. Might I suggest, I'm going to give you a little tip here from the world of Dave. When my youngest one was a baby, most of my sleep happened with the baby on my chest, leaned back in the recliner. And we would both just go out, coma level out. And we would stay there for hours. That's some good sleep, by the way.
Yeah.
Just want to tell you that. Got anything closer on a name?
No.
I would just like to say, by the way, because I know you've been waiting to get this vote. I was talking to my wife about this when I got home Monday. She is a big fan of Stavros. She said, I love that name.
Well, I want my kid to have a job, so probably I go with something a little bit more American.
Steve Rose. How about that? I could talk her into that. Yeah, it's tough because I believe that a baby grows into their name. I mean, there are some stereotypes around names. You hear a name and you form a picture of what kind of person you're going to be talking to before you ever even meet them.
I watched a documentary one time about names. This has been probably 10 years ago, and I don't remember.
Boy, you are a party animal, but go ahead.
And it was talking about individuals with weird names and how it impacted their lives. And this one, he was he lived in New York City. He named his firstborn son Winner, Winner. Okay. He named his second son Loser.
Oh, no.
He named his kid Loser. I kid you not. The oldest was named Winner. This has actually happened. Named the youngest Loser. The youngest one turned out to be a police officer for the New York City Police Department, became a detective, very successful. Winner became a drug addict, in and out of prison. I kid you not.
decides to pull the trigger to name their kid Loser.
And loser turns out to be the winner, and winner turned out to be the loser.
We finally caught that suspect. Who broke the case? Some loser. Wow. I'm still sticking that you grow into your name. Unless you're a loser, apparently. We continue on this Wednesday morning on Super Talk right after this. Keep it here.
You come first for news. Fast and free. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi mornings on New Year's Eve. And normally this is a time to look back over the year and remember all the things good and bad that happened and kind of reflect and get ready for the new year. My stance still remains. We talked about this the other day when it comes to, for example, New Year's resolutions. Why do we wait to this one day to decide to make positive changes in our life? You should be doing that. You should have a monthly performance review if you want to. But we tend to put a lot of importance on one day and put all the pressure there, and then everybody collapses. Well, I think the same thing happens when you look back and review the year. Why do we only do that once a year? Quick, what was the top story in January? We wait until New Year's every year, and you see the stories that are posted everywhere, the look back, the year in review, so forth and so on. And that's fun. It's a neat conceit. And just about every single time I see one of those, I'm mildly surprised when I'm reminded of what happened in January. That was 12 months ago, and with the news cycle we have now, 12 months is the same as 120 years. Just think about it. It was just over or just under a year ago that President Trump was sworn in. Does it feel like a little less than a year? It feels like about 6 years. The amount of things that have happened this year. Look at what has gone on in Mississippi. There's one or two things that have kind of stood out. The Amazon data center story was huge. That was a big deal. If you listen to the wrong people, no one's going to have water anymore, and we're all going to be parched for the rest of our life because data centers are going everywhere. That's bull, by the way. But outside of those one or two things, what was the big story in January? What happened in January of 2025 as we sit here on New Year's Eve? Tell me what happened. Tell me what the biggest news story was aside from President Trump getting inaugurated. What was going on? It's too far in the past at this point to be reflecting on it, I think. We should be doing it every month. That's my thought. I know it's more work and it's not as much fun. And you're such a grump, Dave. We're just trying to have a good time. Well, knock it off. You kids, get off my lawn. I'll be out in front of the studio, by the way, about 9:05, shaking my fist at clouds and yelling at them, by the way, just to complete the full package. But we have to become, I think, a little more deliberate. I talk about it all the time, that we are just kind of led by the nose through the news cycle every day. Told what to be afraid of, what to be mad about, what to get worked up over. And then tomorrow, it's a brand new batch of stuff. And yesterday's just kind of slips by the wayside. That, by the way, if you want my opinion, is a reason why here we are on December 31st. We have made some progress, but have you found anyone yet that says at the end of this year, man, everything turned around? No, that's not what you hear. Because we're not deliberate enough, I think. And that is that's the way it's always been with the year-end review stories. I got nothing against them. I read them all the time. I love them. Dave Barry does a great one every year. He's been doing it for 20, 30 years now. But I think we need to hold on to things a bit longer. I'm just not sure we're going to be allowed to. And if it raises just the slightest amount of aggravation in your mind when I put it that way, that you're not going to be allowed to think about things over a long period of time, well, good. As far as I'm concerned, you're moving in the right direction. A perfect example, we started talking about the upcoming legislative session that gavels in on Tuesday quite some time ago. We've been talking about it basically all year, looking out for it and looking back at the past year. We've been doing that all year, basically. That's the way we have to do things. That's the way things have to happen for anything positive to occur, in my thought on this. Maybe I'm wrong, Will. Am I wrong? Am I just all the way off the reservation here?
You're not off the reservation about the short memory. Yeah, it seems like Trump was inaugurated a billion years ago. Yeah, that was probably the biggest event of January 2025. But it does feel like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, and we're waiting until now to stop back and take a look back and reflect. Once upon a time, doing it once a year, that was a pretty good idea. That was fine. The world has changed, and we are not changing with it, I think, in the right ways. There are some of these things, you know the rule of thumb, when time changes, change the batteries in your smoke alarms. That's a good one. It's a good rule of thumb. It's an easy way to remember, hey, at least twice a year, put a new battery in that thing, or it's not going to end well. Reflecting on how our country is run, how our life has unfolded over the last year, I'm just thinking waiting until one special day every year to look back at the last 12 months might not be enough anymore, and I don't think we do enough of that. Because what do you do with mistakes? You learn from them. What do you do with successes? You learn from them so you can replicate them. If we wait until next year to talk about what we do tomorrow, I'm not really sure what we're going to learn there. Now, I am in no way assuming that anybody's behavior on this is going to change. But tomorrow, here's a perfect example. Until it came up and they started talking about the increased security, it was 1 year ago tonight that we had the terrorist attack on Bourbon Street.
I'm going to tell you, when I saw that story, I think it was on SuperTalk.fm, the story about the terrorist attack, I had to reach back in my memory bank. I was like, I totally forgot about that, because it seems like it was a decade ago.
We have become unpinned in time. The problem comes from the fact that just about everybody can remember a time, because it didn't really change until a very relatively short time ago, where, you could remember the big things that happened a year ago. And you knew when it happened because there weren't that many big things. Now, everything is a big thing. Don't believe it? Someone will be along momentarily to convince you that everything is a big thing. And when everything, it's the villain in the Pixar movie, The Incredibles. It was his master plan. I know you saw that movie, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't? You need to. It was a great movie. He's a supervillain. His name is Syndrome. And there are people that have superpowers to go around and save people and, do superhero things. Well, Syndrome comes up with this great master plan because he hates heroes, because one of them kind of gave him the cold shoulder when he was a kid. So, logical reaction, he turned against an entire group of people. His master plan was he had come up with a way to give every single human being superpowers. That was his revenge against superheroes, is to make everybody a superhero. And the way he explained it was, if everyone is special, then no one is. If every news story is special, none of them are.
That's true.
And it all blends into this amorphous mass that you can't remember.
That's true.
We had somebody run a vehicle with homemade bombs in it down Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve last year, and we're having to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we're doing something wrong.
For the people that it impacted directly, I mean, of course, they'll remember it forever, but in the collective memory of most Americans, I mean, it just, they move on 3 days later.
It fades into the background.
Because there's so much other junk coming after that.
Yeah. We've got to get a handle on that, or that's also not going to end well. What's going to end well? When you stop by your Mississippi Lottery retailer. We'll talk about that right after this on Mornings.
Get the latest news from the heart of Mississippi to the halls of Washington, D.C. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, your source for hard-hitting political insight and unfiltered truth. Now, here's more on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Man, I want to tell you, looking through the lottery winners from just yesterday, I just made so many new friends. 38 winners yesterday. Just want to point that out. Powerball jackpot back up to $45 million, estimated cash value $20.7. Mega Millions now at $157 million, estimated cash value there is $72 million. Those winners, a lot of them from Cash Pop. Every single winner that I see from the full of 5,000 scratch-off games, $20 scratch-off ticket, every single winner I see, they won $5,000. That continues to be the best named ticket I've seen so far. The $20 200X, several different winners there, 2,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Never thought I could feel like it was just too repetitive to say $1,000 over and over and over, but you had a ton of people that won that. Here's probably the best return on investment yesterday. The 3 times lucky scratch-offs, one of those small half-size scratch-off tickets, $1. It's a $1 scratch-off. Jackson Woman won $3,000 on one of those yesterday. You give me $1, and I give you $3,000 back, well, I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy. That's what happened to her. A lot of winners on Cash Pop, a lot of winners on Name a Game. We had winners yesterday. You could be on the list for today as a big winner, but only if you buy a ticket. If you don't buy a ticket, you're not winning squat. That's my personal guarantee to you. You are welcome. We do need to, very quickly, before we move on from that, the Lance Tolbert game, match 5, $158,000 is the jackpot right now. The next drawing tonight. So go ahead and grab your match 5 tickets. as he points out, and you can tell he's got a background in finance, Will, because he immediately looked at all the games and said, "Oh, here's your return on investment right here. This is the one." And I've been watching it as we've been doing this over the months, and he's right. They have regular winners on the Match 5, and they're all for significant amounts of money, no less. So just keep that one in mind when you head out. You can go to mslottery.com to see that full list of winners. You can scroll all the way down near the bottom, and it's got the latest winners, and it will show you all of those people. Cash Pop, the 5, there are 38 from yesterday. It only shows 5, and then you have to click View All Winners. Brookhaven woman won $1,250 yesterday on Cash Pop. A Canton woman won $1,000. The two $5,000 winners from the scratch off. Baldwin man won $1,000 on a different scratch off. That's just in the first 5. What is that? 10, 11, 12, $13,250 won by your fellow Mississippians yesterday alone, just in the first 5 on the list. There are 33 other winners you'd have to add to that. I'm not doing that math. It's still early, and the caffeine has not kicked in to that extent. So just go get your ticket. That's the best way I can think of to try to encourage you. New York. Old New York. The state. They were having a rash of car thefts. Okay? This happens. Trust me, we know about that, right? This happens. Well, deputies went out in the Central Bridge community in New York State to investigate this because they had had several cars that were stolen in that community in this area. So they went out to investigate it. While they were out of the vehicle investigating it, somebody stole their squad car. So I think they're over the target. They're right where they're supposed to be.
Hey, that happened in my hometown the other day.
Really?
The police were there was some I don't know what age they were. I'm guessing that they were younger. Kids were trying to break into cars, and the police got after them and got into a foot chase. And I guess they left the squad car running. Because you ever watch Cops, you see it all the time. They just fly out of the car. They're not pulling the keys out and, locking it and double-checking to make sure the doors are locked. They're running after the perpetrator. Well, the kid ran around, I guess, and got in the squad car and took off with it.
Running the siren, got the lights going.
They found it like a day later abandoned somewhere. And I think they caught, I know they caught one of them. I don't know if they caught both of them because it was 2 perpetrators. But yeah.
One more data point.
That's
got to be evidence.
But wait. That's got to be the worst feeling for a police officer.
Can you imagine the tone of voice when he calls that back into dispatch? Dispatch.
And you they never let him live that down.
Tell 101 we got a problem. Can he come give me a ride? Yeah. News from Fox and SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of Mornings up next on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
From the heart of Mississippi to the halls of Washington, D.C., this is Mornings with Richard Cross, your source for hard-hitting political insight and unfiltered truth. Now, here's more on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Boom, 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 boom. Gonna shoot you right down at all your feet. Take you home with me. Put you in my house. Boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm.
Hour number 2 of Mornings on New Year's Eve morning, Wednesday morning. Dave Hughes here Mornings, of course, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net, where you can go for more information. The daycare fraud story in Minnesota. This thing is exploding in a very interesting way, I think. Let's run through the basics. If you remember, there was an independent journalist named Nick Shirley who went and did a 40-minute video that he released on X where he went around to daycares in Minnesota and found out that they appeared to be frauds. Basically, they were just collecting federal money and doing whatever they wanted to.
You mean the Quality Learning Center, spelt Learning Center, is a fraud. Dave,
I know.
I refuse to believe it.
It is hard to believe, but in this day and time, you would never expect the Quality Learning Center to not be a bastion of proper early education and child care. But it turns out they were. Oh, we got more details on the Learning Center. Just give me a second. I'm getting there. You had this happen. Yesterday, the Trump administration announced that they were freezing all child care payments that go from the federal government to the state of Minnesota. Anybody there. They have already sent a letter demanding that Governor Jazz Hands launches an investigation. Yeah, good luck with that. Mr. Fox, who's been killing these chickens? I'll look into it. Yeah, that's not going to work. And they've opened up a hotline for people to turn in tips of things that they see are bad. One other thing, though, that they announced that's not getting a lot of attention, everybody's focused on the Minnesota aspect of this story. They have in Washington now, in the Trump administration, put new standards and checks in for verification nationwide. It's not just Minnesota, it's everybody.
Yeah, and the only reason Minnesota's kind of been the poster child, no pun intended, for this daycare center deal is because this one independent journalist went out there and exposed it. And, of course, you always know there's something afoot, something wrong afoot when the powers that be say, we took care of that years ago. Or their reaction is, that's not, this is some guy, you know.
Who
Don't
even is
believe your
this?
eyes and ears. What are you doing?
Yeah.
This particular one, the Quality Learning Center, it was misspelled. By the way, they've corrected the sign. I don't know if you saw that. They got a new sign. I don't know. Do they have a sign guy that they call up and say, hey, we need a new one? But they had a new sign that actually had learning spelled correctly. Now the Minnesota Star-Tribune, which is the big newspaper there in Minnesota, very left-leaning publication, by the way.
Extremely.
Their reaction, first of all, they didn't post any stories about it for the first couple of days this was going on. Yesterday, their reaction was, oh, we covered this years ago.
This is old news.
2022, something like that. We covered this? That's old news. That's why we're not covering it, because why would we cover an old story?
Yeah, just because it's still going on. Why would we bring any attention to the fact that nothing changed? The Quality Learning Center, yes, they did get their sign fixed because, you know, there are priorities in this situation. They went out and patched it over. Well, Nick Shirley and his sidekick Dave showed up there yesterday again, wearing custom hoodies they had made with the Quality Learning Center logo on them. And down below it says, call 1-800-FRAUD. He is fantastic. His buddy Dave had a check with him. He's offering $100,000 to anyone that can prove that their story is wrong, that they made this up. $100,000, no questions asked. Prove they're wrong, he'll give you a check for $100,000. So they did that. Now, if you recall, when this thing, and by the way, Nick Shirley's video is up to 130 million views. And those views are counted by individuals, by accounts. So 130 million views on his report on that. 150 roughly million people voted in the presidential election last year. Just to put that into to context, that's roughly the size of a presidential election year voting day turnout that have seen this video. To say it has captured some attention is an understatement. So when this first broke and everybody started going crazy about it, the government in Minnesota came out and announced they had to address the Quality Learning Center because everybody focused on that for obvious reasons. And they said, here's part of the problem with this. He's checking incorrect things. The Quality Learning Center closed down last week. It's been closed.
Yeah, so the commissioner of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families...
She's a jewel, by the way.
Tiki Brown, confirmed on Monday that the center had been closed. Well, it's just... So the state is saying it's closed.
Oh, it gets better.
And then tell them what happens.
Yes, then after that, when the press starts showing up, the people running the Quality Learning Center called all their friends and had them bringing their kids over to the facility for the cameras to show how busy they were and how many happy children were at the officially confirmed to be closed Quality Learning Center. It's almost comic. It's like a Mel Brooks script. It is comical. Just how ridiculous this is. So they can't even get their story straight. It's closed. I mean, look at all the kids. That's their defense.
And it serviced on the paperwork. It serviced 99 children.
Yes,
which has got to be intentional.
Yes. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's got to be some sort of cutoff in getting the money when you get to 100 or more kids. So they run it up to 99, get right up against that limit to get every last dollar they can, because once you cross over into 100, it doesn't work out as much.
It probably meant like a different threshold, more paperwork, or, really wasn't worth the money, apparently.
The Trump administration has now said that they're not going to send out any more money until they get verification that daycares are operating. And the verification they're asking for is attendance rolls, attendance records, name of the kid, when was he here or she here, and in some cases, photographic proof that the kids are attending the daycare center. Here is my question. Why was at the very least attendance records not already a requirement to receive federal tax dollars to pay for your daycare center?
You would think that would be the case.
You would, but that's brand new. They're just putting that into effect, and they're hoping it's going to make a difference. And I'm not criticizing it because, yeah, it should. You would think, theoretically. But come on. So we haven't been verifying anything. Well, the way it works, from what I understand, and I'm sure there's a lot of nuance I'm missing here because radio guy, but from the way I understand it, you fill out the forms, you certify that I'm running a daycare, caring for this many people, this many children, from a disadvantaged neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you sign it, and you send it in, and they send you a check. Now, you lose one receipt when you do your taxes here in a month or two, and there's going to be a knock on the door. But these people just say, no, trust me, bro, I'm keeping kids, and they write you a check. That seems like something that should have been improved quite some time ago.
That's what blows my mind is... you got the government looking at your Venmo records now. You got buddy, you better have every T crossed and every I dotted on your tax stuff. But these people are keeping kids, apparently. And it's like, oh, well, give them $1 million.
Yeah, that's okay. Just send the money. That's fine. It's no problem. We don't need to verify this. But in Minnesota, especially, and that's nationwide. That's every place.
Well, that's
been
the
standard.
bigger question is, okay, if this is happening in Minnesota, all innocent until proven guilty, where else is this happening?
It's so funny you bring that up. After the break, we'll talk about that. Keep it here.
From the Bettable Glass Track.
It's time to get real. Keeping it real.
It's time for you to get real with it.
And keeping it Mississippi. Your voice for statewide and national politics.
Yes!
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings. Presented by Community Bank, where they are here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, their banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Their mortgage specialists are there to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. During the break, I would say I looked this up, but I had looked this up yesterday and still had it open on my phone. I just forgot which one of my devices and pieces of paper it was on, so I went and found it. The ACF funding, which is what we're discussing here for daycares. The way it works, you have to submit a strategic child and family service plan detailing your goals for child safety, permanence, and well-being alongside annual progress reports once a year. Yep, still got kids running around. And adhere to strict administrative rules, non-discrimination, all of those kind of things. Nobody ever thought to just go show up and go, hey, let me see the kids. Where are the kids at? And that's what they're putting into place now. They want actual proof that they're really doing this. However, verification is not a big thing. It's not a watchword in the state of Minnesota, for sure, because it has now been uncovered. Scott Pressler, you may remember him from registering millions of people to the Republican Party during the run-up to the election last year. Scott Pressler is all over this now. It's been known for a while, but like so many things, nobody has paid attention to it. In the state of Minnesota, it's a state law in the state of Minnesota. Any registered voter can vouch for up to 8 other people, and then those 8 people's votes can count. Now, what that means is you've got someone who's a registered voter. They have same-day registration in Minnesota, so you can show up at the ballot box and say, I want to vote. And you've never dealt with it before. Not in an affidavit fashion like we have here. No, just, okay, fine, come on in, cast a ballot. You can have a registered voter bring up to 8 other people with them with no ID, no proof of anything. They just walk in the door, and that registered voter can sign a piece of paper saying these 8 people are citizens, they should be allowed to vote, and they let them vote. It gets worse. If you are the manager of a housing facility, according to the wording of the state law in Minnesota, you can vouch for an unlimited number of people to go vote. That's their verification system for voting in Minnesota. So I don't know why we expected any better in childcare. That's Bob. He can vote. Go ahead, give him a ballot. And they do. And we wonder why things are the way they are. Well, before the break, Will, you mentioned what other states is this going on in? I knew this was going to happen because I'm sorry, in today's world, if you do anything in any category and get 130, 140 million views on it, you're going to have a bunch of people go, well, that's a fine idea. I think I'll try that. We have videos in Alaska. There's one guy doing the same thing for assisted living facilities in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, going around to Philly, knocking doors, saying, hey, well, this is supposed to be a care facility. Where are the people you're caring for? And they just slammed the door in their face. This is very quickly going to snowball to the point to where it's going to become obvious that this is a nationwide problem. This is not a Minnesota problem. This is a nationwide problem. And now that we have, removed the top on the champagne bottle of uncovering this, Nick Shirley did that. Everybody else is seeing that and going, ooh, I want a piece of this action. So they're going around and doing the same thing and finding the same thing all over the country. I've seen videos in other states as well. This is a very widespread problem with, I think it's going to wind up, if you want my guess, hundreds of billions of dollars that have just been going into people's pockets through the federal child care laws.
So I'm guessing that there's just been no oversight.
No.
On this, or very little for the most part.
Well, the problem in Minnesota is it's an active lack of oversight. There's nothing to see here. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. And to understand that mindset, the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry is his name, released a video yesterday addressing this. Did you see this?
Gosh.
Did you see this?
Well, I didn't understand it.
Yeah, he addressed the Somali residents of his city of Minneapolis in their native tongue. When I first heard it, I wasn't really zoned in completely. I thought we were going to finally find out if Han Solo was getting released from the carbonite. That's what it sounded like. See if you can call that up and we'll play it. Because I'm sorry, this is the mayor of a major city in America addressing a scandal going on in his city and his state, and that's how he chose to do it. There is an epic Olympic level amount of pandering going on to the Somali community in Minnesota. That's never a good thing. I don't know why anyone would think it is, and it doesn't matter who you're pandering to. Pandering is never productive, ever. Is it going to change? Well, not until there are some actual consequences involved, and we're going to need some consequences. Saw a tweet this morning summed up the reaction of elected officials in Minnesota to all of this. You know, Tim Walz came right out and said that it was racist.
Yeah, he said that it was part of the white supremacy. Here is the mayor of Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, Jacob Fry.
Sha'abka Somaliyed, Ka Yamid Mogadishu, Garowe, Hargeisa, Bosaso, Bedabo, Kismayo, Wahan Rabah in An Idin Shego, Minneapolis, Wa Magaladina, Wahad Kamid Tihin, Laf Dabarka.
All right, I'm going to translate that for you.
Bring me the Wookiee?
I'm going to translate that for you. It says, if you took your first pinch like a man and you learned the two great things in your life, never rat on your friends and always keep your mouth shut. Okay?
Saying the quiet part out loud in a language nobody speaks.
No, that's not actually what he said. I don't know what
that's
he said.
That's what he meant. That's exactly what he meant. I think you nailed it. Saw a tweet, though, this morning that sums up the attitude of elected officials in Minnesota toward this entire scandal. Said, we shouldn't let the bad actions of 259,553 Somalis ruin it for the other 30. That's the attitude.
Another, I think I saw in that I was reading the Minnesota Star Tribune, which is the only time in my life I'll ever read that newspaper.
Yeah, you got to quit doing that. That's a fruitless task.
But they were saying that some of the daycares were closed because of security reasons. Now, what security reasons are those? You guessed it.
Pirates?
Well, no, because President Trump had recently stepped up immigration enforcement.
Yes, of course. Everything is Trump's fault. If the sun went out today, it would somehow be his fault. There are no other possible options. Well, best response ever. When we talked about this Monday, I mentioned that I immediately thought of Shad White, the state auditor, when all of this started coming out. He's been making comments on it. Online. He's been weighing in on this. He posted a screenshot of a comment he got yesterday. The comment says, "Your comments about Minnesota, shut the up and worry about your state that is full of inbreds. You should eat some more food, Skeletor. Nobody is going to trach a crackhead like you seriously." Shad posted the screenshot with a comment. I'm marking this gentleman down as a potential future supporter. Proper attitude. Can we call Chad Skeletor now? Did that open that up? Makes no sense to me, but we might as well have fun with it, right? When we come back, Captain Chris Turnipseed, the head of the Drunken Ferret Interdiction Task Force with the Mississippi Highway Patrol. It's New Year's Eve. You know what that means. We're going to talk to him about the enforcement period next.
The Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
From breaking news to bold opinions, Richard dives into the stories shaping Mississippi and the nation. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Appropriate bumper music. I like it. Very good. The Wild West feel to it. I like that. Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk. Dave Hughes here, and joining us once again, Captain Chris Turnipseed with the Mississippi Highway Patrol out there hard at work again this morning, as you can see. How you doing this morning, Cap?
I'm doing great, Dave. Good morning to you, and Happy New Year's Eve to you.
Happy New Year's Eve to you as well, and hopefully it'll stay that way during the enforcement period. But before we go there, just very quickly, one final look at the after-action report for last week's Christmas enforcement period. How did we do numbers-wise, say, compared to last year?
Oh, we were about the same, Dave. Pretty much, I mean, within a few digits of each other. Pretty much what was expected. Everything was about the same. No big changes. It was a good crowd, people running up and down the roads, but you had Christmas Day that was kind of quiet, just like we kind of talked about last time, and then had a rush of people, moving around a little bit after the holiday, and then it's kind of people get back into their regular routines, but really don't between Christmas and New Year. It's kind of almost kind of like an extended holiday almost when you run a week apart from each other. But the numbers were about the same. We did have a couple fatal crashes. It was about the same last year though, but didn't look any better, but didn't look any worse, so to speak, Dave. But we had one fatal last year on New Year's, and we're going to try to keep that to a goose egg this year. That's our challenge going into today. So really brief, short period that we're going to be monitoring everything. Started this morning at 6 a.m. It'll go through tomorrow evening. It'll go all the way to midnight. So hopefully this 2 days of travel and celebration, everybody kicking off 2026, will take happy New Year into consideration and keep it happy for everybody and drive safe, and hopefully everybody get where they're going safely.
Well, the goal is always zero. That's what we're shooting for in terms of fatal crashes, is zero every time. But if it didn't get worse, and it doesn't get worse for New Year's than last year, that kind of a win in a way?
Well, a zero is always a win. I don't care if it's comparison to last year, the year before, or any other holidays. If we can claim a zero on a heavy traveled holiday throughout the state, then that's a win for the state of Mississippi and the Mississippi Highway Patrol. So that's our goal. And we stress these holiday periods, but they're just a statistical kind of look to kind of compare holidays. But really, I mean, this driving safely and taking all your safety measures into consideration before driving needs to be done year round. It can be started as a New Year's resolution, and we'd like for that to be the case year round, not just on these holidays. Although these do get the most publicity, so to speak. But yeah, we want everybody to be safe every day.
Well, and you bring up a great point. And to me, the best schedule to resolve to drive better and be safe and pay attention and buckle your seatbelt and stay off your phone and all of the things is every time you open the door to get in the vehicle. All year long. That should be a daily repeated resolution that you make. And that way we definitely see improvement. Now, do you think the fact that the holiday is happening in the middle of the week like this, do you think that's going to have an impact on the amount of travel tonight?
It may or it may not. I mean, the way I see it is like it's going to be a 4-day. People will take it for a 4-day holiday and be off. Well, I don't know a whole lot of people that'll be celebrating New Year's on January 2nd or January 3rd. But as far as the travel, New Year's, I would say, is not probably one of your biggest holidays for people to travel across state or out of state to go celebrate. Not like Christmas and Thanksgiving, where those are family based and people want to go see family. But there will be more traffic than usual. But I don't think it'll be what Christmas or what Thanksgiving was. But yeah, being in the middle of the week, it does help sometimes. When people have to go to work, it just depends on what your job is and what you do for a living, whether that will be whether that'll be relevant or not.
No, I think that's a very good take on that. And you guys, now let's talk briefly, because we didn't mention it last week. When we talk about a holiday enforcement period, functionally, what does that mean? Is there a different approach? Do you have more boots on the ground with the Highway Patrol during an enforcement period?
Well, normally during those, we have guys that come in and work when they're scheduled to be off duty on those days, which kind of gives the presence and appearance that we have a larger force than we actually have. When people work when they're normally off, at any given time, half of the highway patrol is working because you have to schedule days off in there with guys. They partner up and pair up, and when one works, the other can take off, and vice versa. But these holidays, what we do is we they put in some incentives to come back and get a little overtime through some federal money where you can work on a day off, which kind of instantaneously doubles our forces. So we're allowed to do that during these holiday periods due to some federal money, and so our forces are a little bit more. And because it's a holiday, because it gets a lot of publicity, it probably and there's so much focus on it. People go into those holiday periods with that mindset, with that goal of getting that zero fatalities. So it's kind of a motivation to the men and women out here working, because we want our numbers to be lower than anybody else. So it's just the whole approach to these holiday travel periods. We send out sheets where they have to report their crashes and fatalities and motorist assist and stuff, all the things that they're doing through this. So there's kind of a little bit more of a checks and balance system to make sure that we're out there in full force, making sure that the holiday is as safe as it can be.
Well, and visibility is a huge thing. There was a comedian, I saw this years and years ago, I can't even remember who it was, and I apologize for that, who had an entire routine that he did that started with, I brake for luggage racks. He said, I'm driving down the interstate, and in the rearview mirror way back, I'll see a car with a luggage rack, but it doesn't look like that. And I don't think about it. My foot just hits the brake automatically. And then they get closer and I go, oh, that's not bar lights. Never mind. And go back to what I'm doing. Just seeing the presence out there has an effect on the flow of traffic, doesn't it?
100%, Dave. You can sit out here in the median in a busy traffic area, and it's just amazing how people are a lot more mindful of what they're doing and their safety. And I've got my visual aid here today. I left my seatbelt on just to emphasize the importance of wearing the seatbelt. But I watch these seatbelts, magically get put on there at stop signs and stuff, and the people wouldn't have one on, and they're like, "Oh, there's a trooper. I need to put my seatbelt on and drive a little better." But yeah, presence. Just seeing those cars out there and those light bars on top of them definitely have an impact and influence on people's travel behaviors and their just the way they approach a driving. So definitely presence is always the first level of I guess you'd call it defense against having a crash or some other kind of mishappening on the highway.
You say that. I've always been amused because I see it from the outside looking in. Somebody's driving along and they see a law enforcement officer at any level in their marked vehicle. They don't have their seatbelt on, but they're going to be slick. They're just going to sneak it over, and you can see them going through all these contortions, and they think nobody can tell that they're putting it on. Everyone can tell what you're doing. You're not fooling anybody. Just put it on when you get in the car and avoid the whole problem, right?
Yeah, the magic seatbelt, the ghost seatbelt. I've watched it many times. Watching a seatbelt just magically move, and people have got it down to a science. How they can move that hand under the arm and pull it over and try to get it on there while they're being watched. But hey, Dave, as long as they put it on, they've made it to the point where they can put the thing on, then I'm happy. I'll be honest with you, as long as they leave it on after our encounter. So. I'm not going to fault somebody for trying to do the right thing, even though they should have already had it on. But yeah, definitely put the thing on and make it a habit. That's a good New Year's resolution. I'm going to put my seatbelt on as soon as I get in the car. Everybody talks about having accidents, but there's really no accidents out here on this highway. Most of the crashes are preventable. I would say a high percentage of them are preventable, and it's definitely getting hurt or getting seriously injured or killed can be preventable too if people would just put this seatbelt on. I've seen it too many times.
Captain Chris Turnipseed with the Mississippi Highway Patrol. The enforcement period for New Year's underway, going until midnight tomorrow night. And I would just like to remind you, Captain Turnipseed is watching you. So do what you're supposed to do the way you're supposed to do it, and everything will be wonderful. That's the way it works. Cap, I appreciate it. You stay safe out there this week, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Will too. Happy New Year to you, Dave, and all your listeners and your staff there.
From the Bed of Black.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
On with the show.
Is back. Holy smokes. On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi on New Year's Eve. Mornings, Dave Hughes here. Coming up after news at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Madison Drake with the Palmer Home for Children. And kind of look back at the year as it has gone and look towards next year, which is the most important part of the entire process, I think. How bad do you have to be if you have to declare bankruptcy on your porta potties? Will?
It's a pretty, situation.
You're in deep, debt, as it turns out. $2.4 billion in debt for United Site Services, which owns 350,000 porta potties that filed for bankruptcy in New Jersey Monday.
How'd you like to be the repo guy on that one?
$2.4 billion in debt on porta potties. I mean, they don't also have, like, you know, a financial investment arm. They got porta potties. They rent out porta potties to big events, to whatever. It's owned by a private equity firm. And the lenders have agreed to the restructuring. Here is my question, and we're going to do something that I occasionally engage in. Let me call up the calculator. We're going to do math here live, because I want to know, when you take $2.4 billion and you divide it by 350,000 porta potties, that's $6,857 per porta potty. I mean, they have other expenses. Somebody has to take them out there and set them up. Somebody has to bring them back. There's some poor unfortunate soul that's probably making $3 an hour that has to clean them out. But almost $7,000 per porta potty. You know what's more cost effective? A bush. Just go around behind that thing and vanish from sight for a few minutes. But yeah, that's the state of the nation here on New Year's Eve. Even the porta potty guys are in billions of dollars of debt and declaring bankruptcy to wipe it out. Did have some good news, surprising good news, but good news. We had the largest single year drop in homicides in America pretty much ever this year. Comparing last year to 2025, we had the biggest drop in homicides. So we're kind of moving somewhat in the right direction, I guess. I don't think it's coincidental that happened on the same year that we started cracking down on immigration.
Well, violent crime overall has been going down, I don't know, since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It peaked in the 90s, and it's been steadily going down. Now, you hear more about it because of social media and all that kind of stuff, so you would think, and there's some places that are worse than they were, obviously, but as a nation, violent crime has actually been going down.
Well, a perfect example that you want to could point to is Jackson. Jackson last year was over 110 homicides. This year they're in the 70s for a number of homicides. I think they had the 74th or 75th just the other day. And it was like 111, 112 last year. That's a significant drop. That's closer to 50% than 0%. The drop in homicides in Jackson from last year to this year, that's significant, and that's something we need to recognize. But you know what? Good news doesn't sell. Nobody clicks on a headline about good news. Nobody buys any publication to read the good news. It's all bad. Bad, 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 bad. And if it's a good story, yeah, if we got time, we'll get to it. Maybe we'll mention it. Then we'll move on. It's part of our problem, Will. That's a big part of our problem.
It bleeds, it leads, as they say.
Yeah, and that expression's been around for a long time, but that expression came about long before social media took over, long before we had a 24-hour news cycle. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how good of a farmer you are. I don't care how much you're making off the pigs. If you get in a pen and wallow with them 24 hours a day, you're not going to be clean. You're not going to have a good experience. And you're probably going to be turned off bacon eventually. If you're paying it, I don't think you'd even have to be paying attention. So climb out of the pig pen every so often and life will be better. We've got news from Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then the third hour of mornings on this Friday with Madison Drake from Palmer Home for Children joining us next. Keep it here.
Bound up, watch our bandit run.
Your host with Richard Cross. SuperTalk Mississippi.
It's bad, you know, when you have those guns and they try to slip out on you. I had one like that. When I heard her feet, when they hit that bridge, that's when I told her, I'm going where you live, 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 I don't care.
Welcome back, Super Talk Mississippi Mornings on a Wednesday morning, New Year's Eve. Dave Hughes here. And joining me now from the Palmer Home for Children, the one and only Madison Drake. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
I am not nearly as cheerful as you are, but I'm trying to fake it as best I can. Got up really early this morning, so you know how that goes. Speaking
last
of
day of the year.
yeah, exactly. We'll just kind of feel our way through it. But at least we have a good topic to talk about because Palmer Home for Children, as you know, is near and dear to the hearts of all of us here at Super Talk. We do our radiothon every year, and that's important because with all the talk going on right now about federal funding and everything else, that has zero impact on you guys. You are completely donation driven, aren't you?
100%. We do not receive a dime in any federal funding, any state funding. We are completely reliant on donations. So that's why, especially in this season of giving, as you're considering making your year-end gift, we ask that you please consider Palmer Home because these gifts are really what drive our mission. They sustain every year our budget and they allow our children to have the best possible prospects at life they could ever have, a wonderful home, anything they want to do. This is what it's driven by is your donations.
And I think you make a great point there. At midnight tonight, your chance to impact your taxes that you're about to have to file in a couple of months is over. This is it. This is your last time. So, if you want to give a donation, because it is tax deductible, right?
Absolutely. Now, let me tell you, you will have another chance. And there's a window of opportunity that opens next Monday at 8 a.m. So this is through our Children's Promise Act. So Mississippi is one of the few states that actually allows individuals and businesses within the state of Mississippi to make a donation to Palmer Home or other charitable organizations, depending on who you choose to support. We hope you'll consider choosing to support Palmer Home. But you can make a gift against up to 50% of your taxes within your business. You can also make an individual donation of either $1,200 or a joint donation of $2,400 per household. So businesses are allowed to basically make a donation to Palmer Home for 50% of what, say it's income tax, insurance premium tax, property taxes, insurance premium, retaliatory tax, things like that. You can donate half of that amount to Palmer Home. If you're approved by the Department of Revenue, you'll fill out an application, make that donation, and you will receive that tax credit back for 50% of those taxes. So it's really a win-win for businesses, for individuals, and for Palmer Home and organizations like Palmer Home. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you. I fill out 1 million applications this week every year. Some trying to get them in for FY25 for this very last week of the year. Some trying to get them in nice and early next year so that they know that they'll get approved.
Now, if I understand what you're saying correctly, basically this is a way to have a direct say in where half of your tax money goes in those categories, right?
Absolutely. And it really is. It's a unique opportunity that the state of Mississippi provides for all Mississippi taxpayers, which is something that we rely very heavily on. We have some companies, some corporations within the state of Mississippi who are able to make substantial contributions through Children's Promise Act. And these gifts they drive us throughout the year. And so we're so thankful for not only Children's Promise Act, but the businesses who go above and beyond and actually take the time to fill out an application, go through the approval process with the Department of Revenue, or come to us, trust me to fill out their application for them, hopefully get that approval so that they can get that tax credit and apply it to whatever taxes it is that they're wanting to apply that tax credit for.
I would assume your hand cramps up at some time during this process with the applications you're filling out, doesn't it?
Thankfully, it's all online. The
okay.
Department of Revenue has made it wonderfully simple for even fundraisers like myself. So it's a wonderful thing. We do find that most accountants, most wealth management advisors, they are very familiar with the process. So, if you have any questions, always reach out. You can call Palmer Home. They'll direct you straight to me. I can talk you through the process. Your CPA, whoever you work with, whether your business works with an accountant, anything like that, they can advise you on exactly what to do, or they can come talk to me and we can get you worked out.
We talk about this all the time, and except during the Radiothon, we do touch on this every year, is the fact that it takes a lot of money to do what you do at the Palmer Home, doesn't it?
It does. It takes over $8 million a year, if you can imagine that. But one thing about that's really, really neat about Palmer Home is that what this does is it really, and this is the way I put it to someone the other day, and this is just from the bottom of my heart, your gift truly, and I've seen this with so many children, and I'm talking back to my days at Ole Miss, which was a few years back.
back in 2019, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
nailed it.
Yeah.
So close. But no, your gift, it changes the trajectory of the lives of these children. We're not just talking about support to get them by in the interim. We're talking about the kind of support that enables them to go to college, get a degree, join the military, substantially alter the entire course of their life. And that impact just can't be understated. And the reason that we're able to do it is because of such generous donors, like everyone here at SuperTalk. We're so thankful for you guys for helping us spread awareness about even topics as fun as tax credits at 8 a.m. But we certainly appreciate it because someone out there could be listening and think, you know what, that might work for me or my business. And that's why we want to tell people about it.
Well, the way I've always thought about it over the years with Palmer Home, there's a lot of support organizations out there and charities and other things that help kids survive. Palmer Home allows kids to thrive. That's the difference between the two. You guys, you don't just keep a pulse. You turn them into an actual, honest-to-goodness, functioning adult human being when all is said and done. And there's not enough applause in the world for that as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thank you so much. And you nailed it. They truly do. They thrive. They thrive while in our care. And so we hope that people will consider us when they're making their year-end gifts for this very reason.
Basically, Madison wants your money. If you've got some money.
I wasn't going to put it so bluntly, but no, we do appreciate it so very much. And we appreciate volunteers. We appreciate anyone who is happy to help with our mission at Palmer Home. So we're so thankful.
Well, I'm not going to hang you out to dry. Madison wants your money. I want Madison to have your money. I'm right in here with her. I fully support that because it is such a good thing that they do at the Palmer Home for Children. I know we say that all the time, and when you say something as many times as we've said that over the years, people kind of almost don't hear it because they hear it all the time, but we really truly do mean that from the bottoms of our hearts. Palmer Home is such an incredibly important organization, and to me the most telling stat that shows just what an experience it is for these kids to grow up in Palmer Home is the number of them that leave and then keep coming back That tells you right there how much of a positive impact it had on them. And you have that all the time, don't you, Madison?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, actually, back way back in the day when I was at Ole Miss, 5 years ago, I actually was one of my sorority sisters was, unbeknownst to me until I worked at Palmer Home, many years later, was a child of Palmer Home. She grew up on the Columbus campus and later went to Ole Miss, graduated, joined a sorority, and then happened to recruit me. And I never had a clue. And she now has a graduate degree within social work because that's the field that had helped her and supported her in so many ways. So it was obvious like that's what she wanted to do, go back and give back to like the people who had done for her for so many years. So that's just a hard, something that I would share with people, whether I worked at Palmer Home or not. And that's just one story. We have a million.
Madison Drake with the Palmer Home for Children. We're up against a break. Can you hang on through the break? I'd love to just take a look back and get a review of how this year has gone and look forward to what 2026 is hopefully going to bring. We'll do that with Madison Drake when we come back here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Driver in a traffic jam, staring at the faces in a rearview mirror.
Welcome back, SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes on Mornings with Madison Drake from the Palmer Home for Children. I just got to say before we go any further, you are a little ray of sunshine here in the studio this morning. You're brightening up the world for us. Well, I'm sorry. You're just always so cheerful and always so happy. And I think that partially comes from doing something you love that has meaning, which is what you do at Palmer Home. I think that changes your outlook on life.
I actually made a very sappy social media post yesterday. It was a 2025 recap, and I think I included just that, how easy it is to do a job that you love when it means that much to you. And so that's why I'm so glad to be able to share it with everybody.
Well, and that's like the old saying goes, if you find a job doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think you're a great example of that. Because, you haven't aged at all past your 24 years. So, this, you're doing great. Now, you talked about a recap of 2025. Let's go through that. Walk me through how the year has been at Palmer Home for Children this year.
Gosh, we've had so many exciting things, and I wish I could go through and give you every single achievement for every child that we serve. But we served 286 children total this year. Children of all ages, some tiny little newborns, all the way up to age 24. We have young adults, young men and women aged 18 to 24 who don't live on our campus, but they actually live in a home together with, they have a house mom, house dad, social workers who still are able to give them support. And they can basically kind of guide them through those college years, or whether they're going to tech school, whether they're going to join the military, whether they're working part-time and going to Northwest part-time. There's so many different situations. And we just don't want those children in particular or those young adults, in particular, to lose their path due to the fact that they left at 18 and then they didn't have support any longer. We want to provide them with support until they're able to graduate from college, get a job, do whatever it is to take those next steps to further their career, kind of grow into adulthood, and set them up for success. I mean, that truly is our goal.
I want to butt in here because I want to make sure we focus on that for a second. You said several times about them having support between 18 and 24. not necessarily even talking about financial support. Sometimes they just need some guidance. They need somebody there to kind of hold their hand, at least metaphorically, and help them steer their course as they move forward into adulthood, right?
Well, 100%. And we are so lucky to have an incredible team who works so well with our children. They are able to really guide them. Some of our children have seen things that you or I could not ever imagine in a million years. And they come to us, and yet they're still somehow so resilient, still have this sense of optimism, are still so strong. And what we want to do is we don't want them to lose that. We want to nurture them. We want to help them grow in every way that they can educationally, mentally, whether that, if that's something they need to work with a therapist or a physician or anything on, we want to help them there. Want to make sure they're healthy, and especially that educationally they're getting the support that they need. And so we really try to dig in there and make sure that our children are just provided with all the resources that they need. And that's where the donations really make that happen, because it's all about the children and has been for 135 years now.
Well, and I derailed you. We were trying to go back and look back at 2025, and I got off topic. So I'm going to let you get back to it.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, me too. Don't feel bad. So let's continue on with the 2025 recap. So I'm going to round it up and say almost 300 kids. Is that fair?
I like that. That's okay.
Yeah, almost 300 kids. That's a lot of lives to impact in 1 year.
It truly is, and we couldn't do it without very incredible families who step up as foster families, who step up to volunteer as mentors, as tutors, who come in and provide respite care throughout the year for our house parents. There are so many opportunities, not just monetarily, to serve at Palmer Home, whether that's through a volunteer position or, if you ever have any interest in coming to visit us, see what our campus is like, you'll be blown away. You'll see the care and the love that actually is everywhere on campus within all of our homes. And I think that, as far as recapping this year, I think that one thing that differentiates Palmer Home in a lot of ways from other similarly yoked charitable organizations like us, we don't separate sibling groups. And this year, 2025, we actually had 14 sibling groups. They were cared for, they were not separated. And that can be quite the chess game at times, especially when you're trying to make sure everybody's comfortably in a home, in the right age group with their peers and their siblings. And that can be tough. And we have a wonderful team who works diligently to make that happen. And it might be midnight, but if there's 5 children in need, say they're in Central Mississippi, we'll have them with us. We'll through any steps possible the next day if that's what we need to do. Now, that's not always what we're able to do, but we are able to at least, if not serve those children, refer them to a reliable place where they can go and be served as well.
Well, one thing that you mentioned in there that I do want to call out and point out, we talked a lot in the first segment about financial donations and, helping out on your taxes and everything else. There's a lot of other ways to help because you need volunteers. You need people to help you, the boots on the ground, if you will.
Absolutely. I can't emphasize that enough. And it truly is through the help of so many people. For instance, Christmas is such an amazing time at Palmer Home. I know I've talked about this on SuperTalk before, but it really is an incredible time. But it takes an army because you can only imagine how many presents are wrapped, how many presents are purchased, how many presents are delivered. And that's just a tiny piece of what you would even see. That's just one time of year. Every week, there is somebody somewhere who's doing something behind the scenes, whether it's math tutoring, whether it's, whatever that is, mentoring a student, providing a job for one of our transitional young adults. There's some step that can be taken if you have any interest in getting involved, and there's just so many opportunities to help. And so, don't ever hesitate to reach out, contact us. We'd love to give you a tour, show you around, just share with you what it is we do and how we do it and how you can help.
Well, and I was going to say, we've talked about going to visit and seeing it for yourself. Don't just roll up and go strolling in. It doesn't work that way for obvious reasons. Get a hold of them. They would love to have you come visit.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
let them know you're coming. You got to talk to them first.
Yes, absolutely, and just give us a little heads up. We don't need that much, but let us know. We've got you'll get to see. I mean, if you walk on our campus, you immediately understand. You're able to see just how beautiful it is, how beautiful the homes are. You're able to see the children with either their families or their friends who they've lived with, and it's really nice. It's really nice. We see some of our children go to school on campus at Palmer School, and most of our children go to public school, either Lake Cormorant or Tunica Academy. And so you get to see our children, in and out of the hallways. It's so refreshing. It's so nice to see your gift or your volunteerism or whatever that may be at work making an impact.
Well, that's twice I've derailed you now, so we're keeping up.
Look, let me tell you more about. No, we really have had some great things happen in 2025. We had 6 adoptions this year, and,
nice.
And we do strive. We did, yes, and that's a pretty high number for us, and we strive to reunify biological families if that's at all possible. If that's a safe option, that's the route we try to take first. That's sometimes just not the option. That's not a route that we can take. At that point, we consider moving that child, if they're ready, to go into a foster care family, and from there potentially be adopted. And so this year we had 6 adoptions. We had 22 reunifications. So 22 children or young adults were reunited with family members into a safe environment, someplace where we trust that they can go and thrive as they were when they were with us. There were 1,025 therapy hours provided.
Wow.
We actually, most people probably don't know this, but on our campus, we actually have a suite and dedicated entirely to different levels of therapy. For the little ones, it's play therapy. For some of the older ones, it's they paint therapy, art therapy, music therapy, things like that. And then we also have, they can go and talk with their families anytime. It's really,
Madison,
it's really wonderful.
We are up against the break. We are out of time. Very quickly, if they want to help in any way, how do they get a hold of you at Palmer Home?
Hey, just call us at palmerhome.org, and you can go to palmerhome.org/donate. You can make a donation immediately, or call Palmer Home and ask for Madison Drake. They'll direct you to me. If you have any interest in more information on the tax credit, the Children's Promise Act, just call Palmer Home, visit our website.
The Magnolia State. Mornings with Richard Cross.
That's what it's here for.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
1, 2, 3. I'm a thing to you. I'm buzzing round.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, where they're more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, they've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Now, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, they're here for you every step of the way. They're dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always there when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. For more information, just go to their website, communitybank.net. That's easy to remember. I like that. A couple of things I wanted to point out. We've been talking about this morning, looking back and how we don't do it soon enough. Some things, it takes a year to get a picture of it. 1 year ago tomorrow, the $20 minimum wage for fast food workers law went into effect in California. So you look at it a year later and you say, oh, well, how we doing? How'd that work out? Were we right, or does the universe not work the way we think it does? Well, as it turns out, the universe is just fine and trundling right along on its usual path. 1 year in, 18 to 20,000 people lost their jobs. A lot of the people that are still employed at those jobs have seen their hours cut, so they're not getting any more money. That 18 to 20,000 dropped from whatever they were making to $0 an hour, so it didn't exactly have a positive effect for them. They put in self-service order kiosks in a lot of the stores out there. It worked out exactly like everyone thought it was going to work out. Why do I point this out? Because Gavin Lee Press-on-Hair Newsom is still making noises that he wants to run for president. Is this going to be part of his platform, or is this going to be a happy surprise for later if he gets elected? You cannot, we say it all the time here on the show, that you cannot legislate morality. And you can't. That's been proven over and over and over. But if there's one thing the human race is excellent at, it's not learning from previous experiences. We stink at that. You would think we would be great. No, turns out we're not that good at it at all. Over and over, we see these kind of things proposed. You cannot legislate success. You can't do it. I mean, I'm sorry. Look at us here in Mississippi. We caught so much grief for so many years about the state of education in the state of Mississippi. And arguably, rightfully so. We had a tough little period there. It didn't go too well. And then we turned it around and became the success story of the country. We had national news covering this, covering the turnaround in reading and education in the state of Mississippi. How did we do it? We went back to basics, and instead of trying to force things to be the way we think they should be, we worked with things as the way they are. We went back to phonics. We went back to the fundamentals, if you will, and all of a sudden things improved. That is the argument against everything from DEI to forced wage increases on up. You can't make it happen because you think it needs to happen. You have to change the circumstances, you have to change the environment, and you have to change the build-up to whatever process you're trying to affect a change on to make that change a much more likely outcome, and then it just happens and everybody's happy. But we don't do that. Not in the 21st century, not here on the last day of 2025. No, we got to force everything. We have convinced ourselves that the only way to make change happen is to force it. We're a great example of it if you step back and you look at it at the macro level here in Mississippi with the education success that we've had. It's not about forcing change in the direction you think it should go. It's figuring out the way it's going to go no matter what, the natural course of the river, and rafting down it instead of trying to dig a new channel. That's never as successful, ever. That's the real success to me of what happened with the education system in Mississippi. We looked at the fighting against the current and said, nah, how about we just teach them to read? How about we don't care how many, mommies you have. We don't care about the color of anyone's skin. Can you say apple? You just got, it seriously boils down to that level to some extent. This law that went into effect a year ago in California, absolute perfect example of it. Now, next year on New Year's Eve, we'll look back at the first year after they put this in. If they get it through, they're now talking in California about the billionaires tax. Representative Rocana's been talking about it. Gavin Newsom's been talking about it. 5% tax on anyone who has $1 billion or more in net worth. I'm going to give you just one example of how that's going to turn out horribly. Let's say it's a 5% tax on someone who has $100 billion. Okay? So it's a fair chunk of change. So they're gonna be taxed $5 billion is going to be their tax bill. But the problem is, right after that goes into effect, the next week, there's a huge downswing in the stock, which makes up the majority of their value. And all of a sudden, that 5%, they're on the hook for $5 billion. If it crashes and the company collapses and the stock is now worthless, they may be worth $500 million, but they owe $5 billion in taxes. That's not an unrealistic thing that could happen here, to varying degrees. We have seen this tried before too. Tax the rich. In theory, it's great. It gives you the little dopamine hit, that emotional impact that makes you feel like you're making a positive change for people who need a positive change the most. Life has never worked that way on planet Earth. What's going on in Minnesota is a great example of what happens when you allow the government to take more money, even if it's from people you think really should be giving more money. Okay, great. Where do you think it's going to go? Somalian daycare pirates at the Leering Center? And that to you is a win? No. That's the point. We have to quit trying to legislate things into being out of thin air that go against the natural order of things. You have to work with the world as it exists and not try to beat it into submission for your many times nonsensical personal views, and that's what it has to match. No, it doesn't work that way. It's never successful. It's never going to be successful. The example I always use is prohibition. That huge movement that, alcohol is bad. Alcohol is a horrible thing. Best way to improve life in America is to do away with alcohol. Make it illegal. You can't have any alcohol anywhere, anytime, for any reason. How'd that work out? Worked great, didn't it? No, it didn't work at all. Tell the story all the time. The New York Times reporter went around the country trying to see how long it took him to find a drink, to find alcohol in various major cities after Prohibition went into effect. The record was under a minute. He landed his plane in New Orleans, got in the cab, asked the cab driver, hey, you know where I can find a drink around here? And the cab driver reached under the seat and pulled out a bottle and handed it back to him. Said, here you go. You cannot legislate morality. You cannot legislate success. At best, you can pave the road to success for the people willing to travel it. If they're not willing to travel it, well, you can't force them. And you certainly can't take someone else who did travel it and make them turn around and march back to the people that didn't want to go down that road and give them something for staying home. It's kind of the attitude right now. I'm sorry I got fired up again. I'm not sorry. No, I take that back. I'm not the least bit sorry. The verbal beatings will continue until morale improves. Luckily for you and Will and all of us, one segment left on mornings for this Wednesday morning, the last one of 2025. And we'll knock it in the head and leave it in the ditch right after this on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
And now you want to give them back. Yes, I've been ever since the day we met. I say our love is nothing but blue. Baby, how blue can you?
From the
What is it? What's going on? Mornings with Richard Cross.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is. Super Talk, Mississippi.
So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net, where you can go for more information. Talking about the California law, they got a new one going in to where if you have a complaint against your DoorDash or your food delivery person, they are now going to be required by law to refund you 100% of the money. That won't be abused at all, Will. Not a bit. That's going to go so smoothly. You have to wonder if there are more than 2 operating brain cells in the California state government sometimes.
I tell you, man, it's I don't understand how some people operate.
Well, what they need in California, obviously, is some sort of educational opportunity to get people up to speed and get them to be functioning adults. Some sort of, I don't know, like a Leering Center. They can get them on the right path. Speaking of people that need to go to a Leering Center, Andrew Tate. You're familiar with Andrew Tate, right?
Yes, I am.
He's got court cases. He's got charges for human trafficking and everything else. He just got beat down in a boxing match. That was enjoyable. He tweeted yesterday morning, said, "Why did I bother human trafficking when I could have just opened a Somali daycare?" That's where we're at with this story. Altoona, Pennsylvania. I know you think about Altoona, Pennsylvania all the time.
Of course.
They got a man in jail. He stole a utility truck while the worker was up in the bucket working on a line. Now process it. Get that mental image. Yes, get that mental image. Tried to rob him. Walked up with a gun. Told him to get out of the bucket and empty his pockets. Worker refused. Guy said, "Well, I'm going to empty this clip into you." And the worker said, "I'm busy," basically. Good on that guy, by the way. He climbed halfway up the bucket, then realized, wait, this is a lot of work. Went down and tried to drive off with the vehicle, and police caught up with him and put him in jail. When you're going to drive off in the utility truck with the guy up in the bucket extended in the air, the first bridge is not going to be fun.
Well, the fact that the guy could drive the thing.
It's ridiculous. That's the level of humanity, I'll say, that we're dealing with now on planet Earth. We have fallen into a bad habit. And this is understandable in a way, because it's the way a normal, right-thinking human being works. You want to give the benefit of the doubt. You want to assume that people are not as dumb as they are, some of them. You know, we have phrases that lean into that. Nobody could possibly be that stupid. You really need to leave the house more if you believe that statement. Oh, trust me, they can. They can be that dumb and as an extra bonus surprise, even dumber. So keep that in mind as you go about your day. We need to probably scale back. I talked a week or two ago here on the show about what Gad Saad calls suicidal empathy. Sometimes you just got to recognize who and what you're dealing with and treat them as you have to, both for your own success and society's success, which brings us neatly all the way back around full circle to Governor Tim Walz. Because you look at this guy. Why would you give him any benefit of the doubt with all this scandal going on now, with everything else that we've seen? Why would you give him the least benefit of the doubt at this point? A lot of people are trying. Oh, well, we have to be kind. That attitude might end us if we carry it into 2026. We got to get a handle on the overwhelming tidal wave of undeserved empathy. Well, on that light note, we'll end the year. That's a perfect upper to go out on, isn't it?
That it is.
Enjoyed it as always. I will see you on Friday, and neither one of us will be conscious for the first hour of the show. It'll be a lot of fun. Everybody have a safe, happy, and wonderful New Year's. Friday morning at 6:06. We do it again, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.